Told her to drink it. Oh, yeah, she's lost 7.
I think
I did see the big ginormous. I would like to call the October 23rd workshop to order and jump right into this. First on tonight's discussion topics is Freedom Festival 2024. Included in the agenda were the results of the survey. We had 542 respondents, so it was a pretty good turnout. Looks like 47% of folks wanted to have it on Wednesday, July 3rd, with 42.7% on Thursday, July the 4th. And talking internally, it would be much easier for us to staff it on July 3rd and do our pickup on the morning of the 4th rather than staffing it on the 4th and then doing our pickup on the morning of the 5th. And unless there is general discussion, that would be what staff proposes, is to go ahead and do it on the 3rd as the survey results indicated.
The Wednesday.
Yes. Any feedback?
I think that's, we got pretty good majority of it.
I thought so too. Well, then we'll go ahead and plan that. We'll start letting our vendors know. I was in contact with Mickey McCamish of Friends of the Festival last week and told him we would discuss it tonight.
What was the other percentages? Do you happen to know?
It was 42%, 42.7% for the 4th, and then 10.9% on the preceding Sunday, June the 30th.
Yeah, I don't want that far.
Right. So, and like we said, logistically, it works better to do it on Wednesday the 3rd and give everyone the 4th.
It was close though, 42.
It was. All right. Moving on to the Christmas parade survey results, we discussed a little bit. It looks like citizens do want a parade. As we've discussed previously, we have struggled to get participants. And historically, the parade, was hosted over on College Drive by Southern, and then Steve Ray and the folks from the Samaritan Center took it over. And then we ran it once in 2008, then COVID hit and haven't had it since. We've been in contact with Southern. They're very excited to partner with us to have it on College Drive East as part of their Christmas tree lighting on the 2nd. As we've talked internally from a traffic control plan and logistics, that just works so much better. It's so much safer and gives us an opportunity to partner with, honestly, the folks who have historically hosted the parade. It would still be a city event. It would be covered under our insurance. It'd be advertised by us. And the goal would be to start working on it after the Freedom Festival sometime in late July and spend 3 or so months getting most of our vendors, our food trucks, our participants lined up. Yes, for 2024. There's no way to get it done in 6 weeks without it being underwhelming. We'll use the word underwhelming. And I don't think anybody wants us to go that route. So that would be my suggestion to the commission is that we partner with Southern and do it on College Drive East in conjunction with their Christmas tree lighting for next year.
I'm still not in favor of doing it on that side of the mountain. I think this is our show area where we like people to have events and gather.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'd rather have it on this side of the mountain at Collinsville, Four Corners area. Me personally,
And I'll ask Eric and the chief to speak up as well. We haven't come up with a way to really do it efficiently without absolutely just closing Apis and Pike. And it's a very busy road. Closing it once a year for the 4th is kind of, or Freedom Festival is expected and known to be expected. More often it will begin to become a nuisance. In 18, we did have complaints from business owners, not only with the excrement and that sort of thing, but with traffic flow. And so that's why we tend to suggest over on College Drive is simply safety and logistics.
well, and I know what they're going to say, just kind of round about what you did, but for years we've done the parade off Appleton Pike and shut down Appleton Pike.
Before it was a 5-lane road.
Yeah, but it's still shut down.
Yeah.
Not trying to argue with you, but it was shut down regardless. And I don't know, it just, to me, it takes away from the heart of the city, in my opinion, just Tim Johnson's opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I would encourage us to have a round robin discussion. With the current form of this side and the Tractor Supply complex and all, it doesn't lend itself to the heart, in my opinion. We kind of have, I'd say, 3 hearts, the corporation, the university, and then the city park complex. So I don't feel the same, but again, I'm looking at this just analytically on the ability to do it well. I would open up the floor to the other commissioners and
What
get their
other
opinion.
Businesses did not want it. The ones that I've talked to, but I haven't talked to that many, are okay with it coming through and their businesses,
So
it doesn't impact them.
these were the complaints we received back in 18. So it was the ones in the Eckerd Shopping Complex and at Bill McGinnis's place were frustrated with the roads being closed there. Tractor Supply was frustrated with the trailers and the horse excrement and that sort of thing in the parking lot. At that time, several of those other businesses didn't exist, like the gym and that sort of thing. I couldn't tell you if the Dollar Tree complained or not. I couldn't tell you if the pizza place did or not, just off the top of my head. They probably weren't as affected because they still had a second way in and out, unless you were coming from Old Ottawa.
Whatever we do, my purpose is not to have horses again.
I think that would be a great follow-up conversation. I agree with you. Live animals add a lot of complication and risk, not only from a safety perspective, but from some people see certain riding crops, as an example, as abusive. Others see them as a tool. It depends on how they're utilized as a tool and what your background is. And so I would agree, no live animals as part of the parade would simplify a lot of things for us.
Well, I'd like for us, I know you've got a lot going on with the 4th of July freedom. I still think we need to have some conversations throughout, from now through that period on some of these topics. You know, is there any, I mean, it sounds like the city may have already made their mind up where to have it versus the commission voting on it or something, but I just think there needs to be some more conversation around it.
Doing it divorced from Southern?
Not really divorced, but I just feel like, you know, we moved away from Southern from the fireworks because we got so big.
Mhm.
And I don't know the parade route that we would take.
So I can speak to that, and I think it might help a lot of things. One of the big things that would be different from having it on Appleton Pike and having it over at the university is on Appleton Pike, you've got 95 feet of asphalt, whereas on University Drive, you have 36 feet. So if you line everyone up on the sidewalks on Southern's campus, you're 20 feet from the action. If you're on Appleton Pike, you're 35, 40 feet minimum from the action. So it's a lot more personable to be over at Southern with the fields that they have at the beginning of campus, with the new church coming in line, with the academies that they're building. There's plenty of parking at the beginning, the end, with Fleming Plaza and everything there in the front. There's a lot of room for possibly having vendors and stuff like that, making a full celebration out of it, it would feel like a real city event versus, oh, this is something Southern's doing that the city's partnering with.
This would be a night during the week, right?
It's
I'm
Tuesdays.
usually,
It's usually on a Tuesday.
yeah, Tuesday is usually when they do it. But I mean, I'm sure if it just doesn't work to 100% tie it in with the Christmas tree lighting, and we had to do like we do the first Sunday of December, that could be a potential thing because the first Sunday of December, usually have students there still, but then you get into finals and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's, in my opinion, that side of town works a whole lot better for quality of viewing the parade, set up, tear down, basically you're running everyone from what we had talked about is from the CA side through College Drive East, down University and out heading towards Appleton Pike. And then whoever has trailers and floats, they can pull into Park Lane, get the kids off. If they are ready just to head home, well, they head home and out Appleton Pike. So it really does work quite well.
One other item that Eric hit on that I'd like to mention, it was a thought process for me at least, was we had 260-ish nominally respondents. Southern has 2,800 or so kids. And so we're starting at roughly 10 times more people who are already there. And the ability to have a bigger program logistically, again, is easier, was kind of the thought process too.
I think we would need to have it on the weekend and not during the week.
Okay.
Because you still have people that are working.
Mhm.
So that would cut back
Mhm.
on being able to attend.
That's a very fair point.
Also a
School
school
night.
night.
Mhm.
So it
Would you
be
still want a Sunday?
on the weekend? I don't care. On the
Okay.
weekend, like a Saturday or Sunday.
Mhm.
I know in the past, it's always been Sunday. We've been very
Yeah.
sensitive to what's around us and what's closed and what's open based upon religious preferences.
Mhm.
I've never had a problem with that, but I think that if we're going to do some changing, we need to take some of that into consideration, that it needs to be on a weekend, mainly because people working and it being on a school night, because it's not going to happen during a week when the kids are off for Christmas break.
Right.
So it would need to be.
Are you talking about vendor trucks, like food trucks?
Food trucks.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like by vendors, food trucks and whoever else wants to attend, whether, well, for instance, Southern has a lot of, I forget what you call them, groups on campus, and they do like the Strawberry Festival. You have all their groups have a booth to get you to sign up. Well, it might work for them to have, if you got, possibly 5,000-6,000 people come to this event, maybe those groups want to say, hey, this is our group, come join, or we've got some events. I mean, it can become a bigger event than everyone's just there for the parade. But my main thought was food and groups that are either on campus or whatever that may want to.
Yeah, I just don't want to limit to vegetarian food.
That would, yeah, no, it wouldn't.
This would,
If you don't ask, you don't know.
right. This would need to be a city event while being sensitive to the location cannot be dictated by. Would it be reasonable then, following up on Commissioner Baker's point of doing on a Sunday, let Eric, Christina, and I get together with some dates, talk to Southern again, make sure that they don't interfere with her program, that we can do it on the preceding Sunday, see how that falls with their schedule, and then report back as a middle ground.
I still do add support for Vice Mayor, thinking it should be in City Center since we're trying to revitalize this area. And I think there's businesses that would be excited to have it over here.
Do you have any contacts with them?
I'm willing to go door to door.
I'll go with you.
All right.
Yeah, door to door would be great, because things have changed in 5 years. I think door to door would be good, accurate information.
Because, like I said, I just went through on this side, and with the Underwoods and came on down. And the response that I got from the Little Plaza and all that, the managers and things I spoke with, they said they didn't have an issue with it, except they wanted more garbage cans out because of the trash. Then the poop, but if we're not going to have animals, that would eliminate that,
Yeah.
So I think there's some possibilities that it can be worked out. I do think that you can't leave one lane open though.
No, it would be a total closure,
It'd
Yeah.
have to be all-
and
and
they'll have to be,
most people who like the phrase, they understand that.
Mm.
Uh,
So
surrounding areas. Chickamauga closes down. Places actually larger than our city will close down streets for them to come through. you know.
The biggest kind of linchpin is there's not a good alternative around it
Right.
Yeah.
with those traffic counts during that time of year. But we can talk to some more businesses, get some more data. There is no safe way to keep one lane open. It is completely shutting down that road and that traffic for those few hours.
See, I think it hurts businesses such as, I don't know, I want to say Subway Pizza Place when we don't have events at the town center because everybody's going to be over there eating and there's not going to be anybody.
I guarantee you, if they set up a vendor booth at an event over there, they'll make more money than being open up on this time, on this side of the, if the event was over here, they would make more money having a booth over there than they would in extra traffic coming here. Because no one's thinking, oh, I'm going to go walk 300 feet to Subway. But if you have a tent right here with X number of sandwiches pre-made, people are going to go, oh, that line's shorter. I'm going to go buy from them. They'll sell more as a vendor.
These are small businesses, though. They might not be able to staff their store and a booth.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to plan accordingly, but yeah,
But now, there's more, one part of that is because of the student population over there, you're gonna have more people over there that students will buy and so forth.
Mhm.
I do think, and I've said this many times, I think competition's healthy.
Mhm.
I think that vendors or whoever they are, they need to be competitive.
Right.
And not sell their stuff. So I know they have to make a buck. I know things have really quadrupled almost in
Right.
process, but to have it where a family can afford it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if there was a group at Southern that wanted to do a fundraiser, they could coordinate with Subway and buy,
Yeah.
all right, we're going to buy $300 worth of sandwiches and then go sell them themselves at the event and make their money back, twofold. And Subway gets a good sale and then the students raise money for themselves. And there's a lot of,
I know Subway,
Options.
that used to be, I don't know if it still is or not, the Subway here in our town, the one over there in Ooltewah are owned by the same people. And they would staff each other. For example, if there's a parade, they would send extra staff over to help with it or whatever, pay them overtime, so.
The only thing I don't like about the food trucks, the lines are absolutely ridiculous. And when you stand in line 45 minutes for,
Mhm.
A sandwich or some type of food, I think that just takes away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't do food trucks if that's the case. I mean, maybe we do something different. I don't know. I'm just going to throw out, we have people at the Commons who comes out there that does popcorn. I mean, you could have popcorn and you could have drinks and you could have, other things, but when they have to cook it, it just takes too long. And they're only staffed 1 or 2 people in a vehicle.
so a lot of that has to do with how you set the food vendor up. You can set the food vendor up that says, we're going to guarantee you X amount of sales, have that X amount of food ready to go at X amount of time. You can require that of your food vendors. And it's a matter of requiring them a minimum sale and then have to have a minimum amount of food ready to go at time of open. You can require all that to alleviate that issue.
Yeah, you just have to be willing to fund it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's, correct me if I'm wrong, which I know he will. What if the day of the parade, then up at the Commons, like vendors could be there that would not impact the stores that are open down here and restaurants and things, because a lot of them depend on that business. People would come in and eat early or whatever, but somehow traffic would, I'm talking people traffic, not car traffic, would float up in there. And if they wanted the vendor food and stuff, and if there's activities, crafts or whatever, if it's the arts and crafts show or something like they do on the weekends or something. You understand what I'm trying to imply?
The road would still be closed though, which is still going to have that impact on those businesses.
Yeah, but there's a walk traffic.
So let me ask you this, could we, I don't know, limit the number of people in the parade? I mean,
We can make it a 2-vehicle parade if we chose. It would nullify the reason to have the parade, though.
well, I'm just thinking, is 30 the number or 50?
Used to be like 25.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would look at it is how long time-wise do you want the parade to go? If you set it at, call it a 3-mile-an-hour pace or a 5-mile-an-hour pace, how many vehicles can you get through the area in an hour, hour and a half? I think that's a reasonable amount. And then you back calculate, that's 50 vehicles, that's 30 vehicles, and then you figure out.
Because how is it from Jack Cut all the way down the Libby Parkway and then back out and back over to?
We would never do it from Jack Kate
Yeah, we cannot close
because of
Little
the
Debbie.
apartments.
Yeah.
If we were to ever do it on this side of town, we'd have to start at the ball fields like we did in 18 or 19.
Yeah, and so, but just from there and then coming around.
A mile and a half, a mile and a quarter. We looked at it. It's the biggest problem. Like when we do the fireworks, we don't shut down Swinier.
Mhm.
All your truck bypasses and goes down Swinier. If we're going to have the event at City Center, it'd be from the ball fields to Swinier, and then you're done. But that's completely shutting down Appleton Pike. We don't even completely shut down Appleton Pike during the fireworks. All the trucks and vehicles run down Swinier. So that's where there's a big difference between the impact on traffic from 4th of July to now. There's no real safe way to do it without having a hard shutdown. And then you get all your vehicles down Swinier into parade. You're sending everyone out to Oodwall Ringgold Road, which is okay because you put a cop out there to direct traffic, but it still shuts down Appleton Pike for 2 hours.
So let me ask you this, back to could we line them up going up towards Life Care? The reason I was thinking if we limit it to 30, I mean,
I don't think I understand.
so people could start on Swinier Drive, right? So, as you go up here, you go to Life Care Center.
Mhm.
If they were coming down this way to start the parade, could they come in and then turn right onto Swinier Drive?
So you're talking up Messenger. So Messenger Lane is only public to right there before Life Care Center. After that, it's private.
To Life Care.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
think we'd have
you-
the staging area.
Yeah, with trailers, if you have, cars and trailers, that's, you're talking, 50 feet. There's probably 1,200 feet there. So, yeah, I mean, you could probably fit 20.
Because how would that impact though, them being able to get up there to Life Care in case of emergency?
They would just drive around the crowd.
It's one
One-
lane.
So it is possible to limit it to say 20 and just come down Swinier and end it here?
Come from the ball field and.
Well, I'm just thinking if we limit it to Swinier, we have a smaller parade.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have probably, 2,000 people that come?
Mhm.
We'll have our parking lot done by then. And we could, it'd be a small parade, but we would have it here in the city center. We're not disturbing any traffic. And it becomes more of
It's a pretty small
College Hill.
parade.
it's a small parade, sure.
Very small, probably underwhelming.
Right.
But I mean, how many participants are we really anticipating? If you take all the horses
If we
out?
have a year to plan it, we could have 200. There's a lot of car clubs that would come out to it if you do it right.
Bands and.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the time, you have the location, you can make it as big as you want it. That's why if we did it at Southern, we've got almost a mile on College Drive East that's 3 lanes. We could fit 200 cars if we wanted to. That's why it's,
What I'm thinking is because if it's not worth it to make it small. To me, it's not.
The logistics to do a spectacular parade is on the other side of the ridge. The logistics to do it on the side of the ridge mean it's going to have to be underwhelming, and we accept it and go about it that way, and make a choice.
and something I'll mention if it's something worth looking into. If we wanted to have some, like a smaller parade, like a Santa showing up to the city Christmas event at the Commons, you could have a couple vehicles and Santa riding in on a fire truck to the Commons for our Christmas celebration.
for the-
And it'd
like
be
the
separate
Lions
from the
Trader.
big Christmas parade.
And that would be a matter of minutes.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we could stage that like Jim Herman used to do, coming from Tricom over to the tree lighting. I mean, that, a 5-vehicle lights and sirens with PD and 1 fire truck that starts out of Tractor Supply and then pulls up onto Swinier as part of our Christmas program, very doable,
Well, it's that size, we could probably pull that off this year.
probably.
That shouldn't be a problem, to be able to have Santa come in on a fire.
If I can lean on somebody at Tricom to,
Our motorcycle.
And I think
Yeah.
it's reasonable for a first year,
Come
bringing a
on.
parade back for it to be smaller.
so if we do that, we can absolutely do 1 or 2 motors, 1 or 2 PD vehicles and a fire truck this
And we're
year.
talking about coming in toward to the commons for our lighting. Was that what we're talking? Okay.
Yeah, that was what I understood. Does anyone on staff see a big problem with that? I'd lean on Christina and the chief.
Is the chief going to be Santa Claus?
No, we already have.
Do we want to take a vote?
So how about, so what I'm getting from this, we'll organize that this year as in conjunction with our program. And then we will circle back after doing that sometime January or February and make a final decision on, do we want to stick with that, which was kind of the way it was, at least in the 90s, or if we want to do a true big formal parade on the other side in conjunction with Southern. And that would still give us plenty of time to make a decision in the spring and then coordinate with Southern to start planning in July, August, if we decided to go the big route, if we weren't satisfied with what we're discussing. Is that fair enough for everybody?
I think that's fair. I do think we need to have, what we suggested about Santa Claus coming in on the fire truck. Maybe in Augusta, we did Harley Davidsons.
If y'all have any it doesn't work out with Tricom, he might want to come in the back of the garbage truck. We'll take the old truck out and get it nice and and get nice blue paint on it, and we'll bring him in on the garbage truck.
It'd be a security, have a
You could
security. the police-
Probably end up on a Public
Can you
Works
grasp them up
magazine.
with the
Right.
jaws? Can you grab them with the jaws?
We can
We-
make a platform that's, and then dump him in the back or something. I don't know. We'd do something.
We can figure something out along those lines this year. I feel like that's a
I
very,
think we need to get moving on this piece of it for this year.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we'll wrap up amongst each other internally this week and make a couple of phone calls. It's really, the question is it Public Works versus Tricom that drives the main event, and PD will handle the other couple. And it's,
I know everybody loves Santa Claus on the fire truck, even though it's not red.
Oh, they do, the kids, the
Okay.
kids.
so
love it.
so I'll
Santa
call
Claus don't-
the chief tomorrow, Chief Pitts.
Or Matt Mundell. You can do it. Either
I'll-
one, I can.
I have a great rapport with Matt. I'll give Matt a call tomorrow.
Matt's
And,
already bringing fire trucks.
Perfect.
My
So,
event.
so we will have him come in hot on one. And then the chief has already agreed on the other. So
You found a Santa
Settled.
Claus yet?
we just have to find a
Yes.
Santa Claus.
So I'll just see if the Santa Claus would rather be in a garbage truck or a fire truck.
I mean, I think the fire truck, the kids will love either one, but there's more lights on the fire truck than there is on the garbage
More
truck.
gloves.
Although we have dolled our vehicles out before for some events, so we can put lots of Christmas lights on them.
I've seen them.
They drive a little slow.
All right.
Supposed to. Santa's hanging off the back.
This is where all the little bad boys and girls, this is where their stuff is coming from.
Their presents are in the trash.
Right.
The Christmas parade up at Cleveland have all of their maintenance trucks
Mhm.
in that parade with lights all over 'em.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah. We can do the same thing.
It's always the first Saturday
Beauty
night
Amazon.
of
It's only one
December.
click away.
Well, if you don't make it
It's
this
a
year,
night
it's
parade.
So we'll get that figured out for this year and then circle back in the spring with some lessons learned and make a decision on the other. That's what I get from this conversation.
I think that's exciting progress for the community.
So it's a very good middle ground. All right.
For the
all going up there. so
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Really good idea. Moving on to Christmas in Collegedale. Christina, will you run us through
Yeah,
what you have planned thus far with the
Yeah.
addition of the 5 vehicles? And
with the addition of Santa on a fire truck.
Yep.
Yeah, so this year, we're keeping with staying on that first Sunday of December, because we want to be in December, but we want to beat all the other stuff that's going on, school being out and folks leaving on vacation and whatnot. So we're going to try to knock it out and have our tree lighting early so that the tree can be lit longer than a week before Christmas. And this year we are doing it a little bit earlier. So we're going to start at 3 p.m. We'll close up about 7 o'clock. We found out last year that it gets pretty cold. And it looks like this winter is going to be even colder. So we'll have our official tree lighting done at 6:30. We'll have the Christmas tree that is on the left side of the commons will be decorated. And we're making sure that there's not a delay on the
Oh, good,
switch
good.
this year, because that really got us last year. We've already reached out to a lot of our performers, which are going to be the same people that you would normally reach out to have in the parade. So we're talking your middle school, elementary, high school bands, choirs. We've got some dance teams, We made a connection, try to reach out, see if we get the handbells from SAU. So we're trying to get more of those folks that you would normally see in a parade, or those that can't really perform in a parade, a chance to be able to perform, there. So we're just working that out, because we got some that are like, we need to be earlier in the day, later in the day. So just trying to work that schedule out. Our food trucks, we are working on, we've got at least 3 new ones. We've got some that are doing just drinks, which she never charges more than $4 for her drink. So it could be a fancy hot chocolate and it's still going to be $4, which she's all about, just being in the community and doing something she loves. So that'll help keep prices down. Frozen Frenzy, which we had at the Fairy Tale Ball, which they do a New Orleans style snow cone, which is delicious. Even when you're freezing, it's still delicious. And then we're working on making sure that we do have our vegetarian and vegan options as well. We have our guy that did hot dogs, hamburgers for like $5, $6. We're trying to work on getting that there as well. And then, of course, our local booths. We've reached out to multiple businesses in the Collegedale, Ooltewah area. We've already got a good 15 that I know of offhand that have said that they were going to do it. And what we have done is we're trying to keep it away from, it's not something that we're trying to make money off of. So we're staying away from the vendors. So we are being a little different than what you would see at like the Christmas market. So if a business wants to be involved, just for instances, Allied Pediatrics, which they're amazing. What they do, they tell us that they want a booth. You get a 10 by 10 spot. And in order for your business to be there to promote your business, you have to provide something for the community. So this is something that most likely is going to be free. So last year they gave out hot chocolate. They did like a hot chocolate bar. Lumberjacks, they came and they did activity games where if you played it, you won candy, stuff like that. So we're helping you, you're helping us, but the main thing is that our community is getting involved with our community members. So our businesses and our residents are getting involved. And then we've got, this year we're trying something new with doing some sponsorships to help make sure that we can offer certain things for free. So we don't want you to have to pay to get your face painted, to ride the carriage rides. We want to make sure that we can provide that as low cost as possible. Because as Debbie mentioned, you got 5, 6 kids, it gets pricey pretty quick. So we're trying to keep the price as low as possible. Fingers are crossed that we can get our Ooltewah Whistle Stop here for the $1 milkshake samples this year. Unfortunately, they had to pull out last year. So and we've got so many different things just kind of in the works. Capri's been working hard at that. So that's pretty much all I got. If anybody's got any questions or ideas?
And the tree that we're lighting up is the one that we appropriated money for.
Yes, that
Okay.
we planted right after
Okay.
the last year. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on to the street scanning proposal in your packet, and Eric will go over it for you.
All righty, let's get this hooked up. Did everyone get a chance to go over what I sent out?
Yes, but I'm looking forward to a better explanation.
Yes, that is what this meeting is all about. And my
Data-driven budget.
apologies. What I sent out in PDF seems to have somehow corrupted itself. So I can't put it on the screen, but what I can put on the screen is about 5 slides. That is a high level. This is what this really is. The rest of this is engineering mumbo jumbo and dollars. So
Eric, if you want the PDF, I have it on my computer.
let's do this, and if we need it, we can pull it up. What do I need to do to get it live? I have it plugged into the HDMI.
I don't mean to be walking out on you, but I'll be right back. I don't know.
Okay. Great time to take a little break.
Well, while we're waiting there, can I give Christina, I got a phone call yesterday wanting, with a suggestion that the city have for Halloween, something at the Commons, like a trunk and so forth. So I told him I'd pass it on.
Andrew has this also.
It's in the works for next year.
I think there is one group, though, that is doing a trunk or treat at the Commons, but I think it's a real estate.
It already,
Company.
yeah, it already
Yeah,
happened.
that was.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Keller Williams.
Keller Williams.
Wow, that's early.
They did it in conjunction with the Harry Potter event, but not in conjunction, at the same time.
Wizard School,
Harry Potter,
Wizard. You don't want to get sued.
understand.
No, what I sent Andrew was the PDF. I will send the presentation.
Well, if you guys have not seen, we have a post on our Facebook page, actually, for Halloween pet costume contests. So if you guys have some pets to dress up, I know you got cats. So if you've got any pets, it doesn't matter if it's a cat or a dog, a lizard.
No pets.
No pets, okay. Well, encourage folks because we have a great basket that's being.
Hey,
put
when Debbie
together.
comes back in, say, oh, that was good, Eric. Appreciate
There
you
you
showing us that.
I believe I would need stitches if I tried to put a costume on a cat.
You know? Our cats ran like crazy as soon as we put a shirt on them, but my dogs were fine, so. We go catch a duck.
If you do, please give us all of them.
Well, Eric, that was good. Thank you.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
was an awesome presentation.
I do my best.
You missed
I
it.
aim-
5
I aim to
slides.
please.
Stay up.
So this morning,
Yeah.
just FYI, we had a big house fire right off Bill Reed Road.
Yeah.
Went out.
I love a black cat. They're sweet.
Well, let me go out and see if I see anything. Only thing I see was big flames shooting up from my condo.
Mhm.
Bad.
Yeah, I talked to one of the EMTs and he said it was pretty bad and there was a lot of people and there was a language barrier and it was a pretty bad.
I think they just remodeled that house because they had a big dumpster that was full of stuff on it.
I'm saying the same thing. Up, up.
There we go.
Yeah, this is where you gotta do that. Excellent.
Didn't like your computer,
Hmm?
Eric. It didn't like your computer.
It didn't like Marty's computer. My computer, the battery died, so this was backup after backup.
I love technology.
Hey, there we go. Try and get this mic a little bit closer. All right, so this is our street scan. Basically, what we sent over was their proposal, which kind of went into a little bit of what all it encompasses, dollar amounts and all that kind of stuff. But this is a high-level presentation. So what we're looking at is a 3-year project of implementing the system. What it does is creates a baseline of all our current road conditions, gives us the horsepower, the computing power to evaluate best use of future road money. They come in with a vehicle that kind of looks like the vehicles that do the Google Maps and so on and so forth. And they take pictures of in front, behind, beside, and special cameras that actually look directly straight down at the road surface. And it gives us a very accurate and trackable condition of that road. And once all that is captured, they take all that data, put it in a bank, and then evaluate it. They have certified people that go in, look at all the pictures that the computer algorithm spits out to say, yes, that is what it is, or no, that was just a wet spot or something, and they don't need to worry about it. So there's a lot of horsepower behind it, getting us very accurate information. So step one is to do that street scan, run the roads, use their vehicles, capture the imagery, and they rate it on a system of 0 to 100. They do street conditions, traffic signs, and pavement markings. So in the end of it, we get a program that I can go, how many stop signs do we have in the city? It tells us you have, 186 stop signs. 75 of those stop signs should have been replaced already. 50 of those stop signs need to be replaced in the next year. Very straightforward, simple. Pavement markings, it lets us know, hey, we're going to go pave Talent Road. How many stop bars do we need to put in the design? How many turn arrows do we need to have? Keeps us from having to go out, manually look at it, write it down, and then figure out this is what we need to put in the bid for next paving cycle. Step two is we use these numbers to help prioritize the projects within the most impact on our overall road condition over time, assess the cost to impact for new treatments, and share the map with you guys and with the community saying, hey, we put this money out there, we've evaluated our whole entire road system. This is the work we've done in the last couple of years. This is the work we're going to do in the next couple of years. And it's the work we're doing is based off of where we get the most bang for our buck. We don't really have any roads that are just flat out terrible in the city. We've done a good job in the past of keeping stuff maintained and kept up to where we've addressed most of our major issues. But those issues always change. That's why this is kind of a 3-year, come in, do it, get your money spent, figure out what we need to do going beyond that. The pricing for this, which was in this packet, is based on Hamilton County. They just approved doing this program on October 18th. We actually found out about this company. I've heard of them before through conferences and stuff like that, but they called me saying, hey, we're looking at doing something with Hamilton County. Be a great time to partner because we're surrounded by Hamilton County. They're going to be here anyways. So the pricing to us is based on Hamilton County's pricing. So we're getting very good pricing. We have we guesstimated on our Excel spreadsheet from driving the roads that we have about 47 miles of road. I'm really curious to see what we get back from the street scan because we'll know within a couple of feet what we actually have on the ground. So basically, we want to tap into the pricing and scheduling that they're doing with Hamilton County. I will also say they're talking to Signal Mountain, they're talking to Red Bank, they're talking to everyone else in the area because it makes complete sense to do it. Everything's industry standard and looking at rescanning about every 3 to 4 years to say, hey, we scanned, we did, we'll rescan in 3 to 4 years and see how that impacts the model of where we're trending. This is, they've got over 300 customers all over there in, Atlanta, Brentwood, Clinton, Blount, Montgomery County, Social Circle, Georgia, and as of October, they're in Hamilton County. Their headquarters in Boston, and so far with what I've learned and talking with them, they're a great company to work with. Product is fantastic. This is us who were looking into it here, and then, Todd Lehman at the county, and then Brandon, their new roads superintendent. They're very impressed with the product and moving forward with it. So right there is the vehicle they use. They go out, do their collecting. Step 2 is they rate everything on the PCI scale from, 85 to 100 is good, 70 to 85 is satisfactory. Fair is 55 to 70, poor, very poor, serious, failed. I would be surprised if we had much of anything come back in the poor range. We'll have some stuff maybe come back fair, but most of our stuff is going to be satisfactory. But this program will let us know if you spend the money here, you can get all your fair stuff taken care of, and you can start getting your satisfactory stuff up to good. If you can get in that good range and stay in that good range, you can do topical applications to keep you in that good range without having to repave. We've done presentations in the past where it shows a bell curve, and most cities just let it run until the road fails. Whereas if you come in here every 5 years and do a treatment, you can be at still 85% condition 30 years after the road was put in. Whereas if you follow the bell curve, at 30 years, your road's toast. You're spending 10 times, really 30 times the amount of money to come back and replace that road.
Is there somebody driving that car? Is it?
Yeah, no, there's some, there's a live person. in there.
I was in Phoenix. I was in Phoenix. You know, they got
Radio
the
control.
driverless cars.
I would not bring a driverless car in the city
I-
on the streets.
I called for.
30 years from now, I'm sure it will be driverless. 10 years from now, I'm still not bringing a driverless car in here. I tell you that.
I called for Uber and I stand there and all of a sudden this car drive up and I said, it's got cameras everywhere. There's no driver in it at all.
Wow.
Lady gets in it and it can't get on freeways or highways.
Yeah, no,
But-
no, thank you.
Okay.
So part 3 is they use 360 HD imagery. So for instance, if we had a citizen call in and say, hey, I've got this going on, can you check it out, please? Depending on what it is, I don't have to get in my truck, or Scotty doesn't have to get in his truck, drive out there and verify it. I can go, what's your address? Okay, pull it up exactly what's going on, and then say, oh yeah, we need to go out there and physically look at what's going on. But within 30 seconds, I know what's going on. We do that now for the most part. I'll use Google Street View. I'll use all kinds of stuff. Well, some Google Street View is 8 years old. They only rescan in this area because of our population probably every 5 to 6 years. This, if we do it every 3 years, it's only ever to be 3 years old. The fourth part is maintenance and repair strategies. You know, it's nationwide. It's a lot of money put into figuring out what are the best fixes. There's a lot of algorithms involved, and we can say, hey, what type of repair is best for this? It'll tell us what that is, but we can toggle in different types of fixes, and it'll tell us this is what it'll impact your PCI score. It's very, very cool. And then number 5 is the asset management software, data hosting, support, the analytics, forecasting, all that kind of stuff. So this is an example of a traffic layer that's showing all the signs in a map. I can layer it to just show me stop signs, just show me yield signs, show me chevrons in a turn, and it'll very quickly populate everything. And you can even, if you partner it with a work order program, you can see, hey, I've had to replace the chevron signs in this curve 5 times in the last 10 years. Maybe we need to look at moving them to a different location or doing something different. But I mean, as it is right now, it's live sign data. It's where have we paved in the last couple of years? Click. It shows me everywhere we paved in the last 4 years.
You can also add trips per day to the software to prioritize higher tripped roads.
Right.
So you may have a road that has 500 cars a day go down it, and you have a road that has 5,000 cars go down in a day, but their PCI score is only 3 or 4 apart. Well, you can have the software say the one with 5,000 trips per day is a bigger priority, and it'll spit that out earlier than the lower trips per day. So you can set up essentially any data cross-reference you want. The one that we've mainly been using is trips per day.
I see you got manhole covers up there. Will it do like gas?
Yeah, we can tell it to identify whatever we want. So when you have those real live people going in and verifying what was seen on the cameras and what the computer picked up on it, the AI picked up on it, they can go in there and they can label telephone, manhole, gas, whatever they want. They can do it.
You do have to purchase the additional data, though.
Okay.
Right. Yeah,
We
there's layers to it.
prioritized these for this initial scan to kind of thread the needle on cost versus actionable
Right.
information.
But the thing is, once the scan is done, the information's there. You can do the scan, and then if you decide it would really be nice to have this extra information, you can say, I need this extra information. And they say, yeah, the man hours to process that is $2,500-ish, give or take. There's probably in there what exactly is, but give or take, we can say, okay, it's worth it to us to spend $2,500 to know where all these things are. Let's do it. If it's not, well, we don't have to pay for it. That camera data is there for at least 3 to 5 years, however long we ask them or pay them to hold on to it. Preferably, I'd like to redo it every 3 years like they recommend. So this right here is a heat map similar to what we would get, and it shows the results of the pavement evaluation color-coded to condition. So if we did our whole city, we'd be able to pull up our whole city and say, that's what we look like. We can put that on our website and brag on ourselves as, hey, we've been doing really well over the last 10 years. Look at where we're at, but here's 10 areas where we need to improve on. And here's 10 areas where we're going to spend the money in the next couple of years to get the PCI up. And like he said, we can include traffic counts and justifications and all that kind of stuff to be basically upfront with everyone and let everyone know what we're doing and why we're doing it. But basically, it's very, very, in my opinion, needed to be able to plan going forward.
It's a great tool to have.
Yeah.
It's a data-driven approach to making these paving decisions. And I don't know if Eric went into detail. You can actually put in your proposed budget, cost of materials and labor based on the preceding year's bids, and it will spit out these projects over this distance for these dollars.
Right. And then you can have, the 5 different types of treatments we have. You can put in overlay, treatment, and all that kind of stuff and just toggle back and forth. Where do we get our best bang? It'll tell you what you should do, but you can say, we decided not to do that this year. What would that look like? And
Is that included or is that an added on?
it's included with what we're looking at. Yeah.
You have the total price, Eric?
So on the big doc I sent everyone, it has the total price. It basically boils down to 18,000 and change per year for 3 years, broken out by what they,
$18,714.
there you go.
That's
it.
Thank you.
She found it.
Is that budgeted?
That is
That's what
something
my
that we
question was
can,
gonna say, where's it coming from?
we have a 400 line item, which is basically our right-of-way maintenance, where if we need to go in and fix a culvert, if we need to go in and buy stone, shoulder stone, all that kind of stuff, outside of putting asphalt on the ground, we have X amount of funds set aside to do repair work. I usually budget about $67,000 in it just because that's give or take. We usually spend between 50 and 60. I up it every year because it seems like when we get down to it, we pretty much use all of it. I think year to date, don't quote me exactly, we probably used about 30,000 of it. So there's room in there that we're not gonna not be able to do something because of this. Case in point, on Edgemond Road alone, with the way we were able to shift stuff, we've saved at least 15, maybe $16,000 on that one project alone. So that one savings right there potentially pays for this whole 1-year deal.
That sounds
And
good.
going forward, being able to utilize this software will just save us, it'll easily save and pay for itself year one, several fold by being able to, lately, we've been doing, let's put the asphalt on the ground, fix the big problems, go, 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 go. With the information we're going to get from this, we're always going to be putting asphalt down. But let's put down, $400,000 worth of asphalt, if that's what we need to do, and put down $250,000 worth of treatments to bring all these other ones that are in the poor or in the fair category to get them to good. Why not do that?
It's kind of like a preventive measure.
Preventative, exactly. Get them up to where we can, instead of bell curving it, we can bounce and stay at a higher PCI rating.
It'd be nice if we could get a listing of all the streets and their rating and post it on the internet or the
So
website.
these heat maps, that can get posted on the website, that can get posted on the website. Anything that we want, it gives it in a way that you can either PDF it or screenshot it and post it.
Good.
Okay, so the 18,007,
400.
yeah, thank you. I wrote it down, I just can't see my writing. Thank you. that's this. If you wanted to add something more, I'm sure there is something that you want to add an application that you want to add. What are you looking at for that?
So there's a lot of different ones. It's all in the spreadsheet on starting at page 12, going through page 13. And all those services can get added after the scan's done.
Okay.
So in my opinion, let's do the scan, use the software for, I think they're starting hopefully to be scanning in Hamilton County in mid-November, December. Rainfall impacts it, job stuff, because you want to do it while it's dry.
Yeah.
But if we get everything scanned with them, I can't remember their exact turnaround time, but usually it's a couple weeks. So say they get it scanned done and then January 1st, they dump all this in our lap and say, hey, we give you, 20 hours of 30 hours of onboarding, training, learn how to play with the software, coaching, all that kind of stuff. Then let's be in it in a month, 2-3 months and say, we're missing something. Well, if we're missing something, we can say, hey, we really need to add, stormwater catch basins. That's a great layer we want to add. That's $1,800. Let's add it. If we want to do the GIS sidewalk database, they can take those 3D images and say, hey, we want to know total linear foot or mileage of sidewalks. They go in and they process it and they spit out, for $2,250, we can tell you exactly the distance of your sidewalks.
So it's basically reasonably priced.
Right, it's extremely reasonably priced. And something else, Wayne and I have talked about, and eventually we will get there, they even have little battery-powered scooters that they drive on your sidewalks and scan your sidewalks. So you can have accurate ADA repair data for your sidewalks, just like you would for your road. That's something where once we play with the road stuff and get, this stuff is as good as they say it is, well, we need to go ahead and do that for our sidewalks, for our greenways, and have that information too. But for right now, let's start with the road, see where that gets us, and then later come back.
So we initially come on board and sign a 3-year contract just for the roads.
Correct.
Road striping and
I think this
Signage.
makes all the sense in the world.
So they only scan once, right, for the 3-year term?
Correct.
But we're paying them installments over 3 years.
Correct. It saves us the upfront payment.
Just so I understand pavement cost, and I know it changes, how much could we pave in lieu of spending this over 3 years?
So $50,000, where's my phone, my calculator real quick. We're paying about $165 a ton. So 165, 56,000. 142 divided by 162. 300 and.
Is it on there?
Tons.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the PDF.
This is the,
No, that's not right.
these are the extras.
a less accurate number would be 1/10 of a mile.
Yeah, I would say, somewhere between, max, if it's. and
Was that the
it's not
50,000 or the 18,000?
50.
The 50,
50 is 1/10 of a mile.
Yeah. 10th of a
Just-
mile over 3 years. So, they're literally talking, if it's in a residential neighborhood and we're just doing a 2-inch pave, we're talking the distance between 10 homes.
I'm not there yet, but I could probably be talked into this. Like, it's making sense. I just need to know more about it.
So would it scan the road behind Southern, back by the nursing building and
No,
campus safety? That's
all-
private,
That's
right?
private. Mhm.
We would
We
only
don't
scan
care about
public.
that at all?
We would only scan
Like
public.
Grindstones?
If Southern wants to contact them and do something with them, for
Yeah.
their stuff, great, but no, we would only do public roads.
But like Grindstone is
Yeah.
public road.
Grindstone is not a public road,
Was it not?
private,
Mm.
it's all private.
Grindstone's all private. The apartment complexes are all private.
Oh, that's
Commercial businesses are all private. So the 47 miles is just public streets.
Okay.
And doesn't include state routes.
Correct.
They're not
Appleton
ours.
Pike or Ottawa Ringo or Maine.
Yep.
And those are not part of this scan either.
I think this is great. I say it's a great tool to have.
We're excited to be able to have data. I mean, again, engineer, left brain, kind of the PCI number went up, so therefore we're doing it, but also the ability to, as Eric said, kind of right fit total pavement repairs versus short and medium term maintenance to have some data to be able to demonstrate that we're getting the most value out of our pavement dollars. I know I made a presentation probably 6 years ago on pavement and the cost of it and how it's going. So to be able to demonstrate that we're really wringing as much value for the citizens out would be great.
Let's see how much, also, people don't realize how much it costs
Mhm.
to pay, you know.
All right, we'll bring that to y'all at the next commission meeting. All right, and Jason has the zoning rewrite, the possibility of doing a public charrette. We had our driving panel met last week. It was a really good conversation. How long did it go?
About 2 hours.
Yeah, about 2 hours. It was a good conversation, very detailed. But that was a panel driven rather than a public charrette. And so what he's going to cover tonight would be how we could do a public charrette, whether it is doing it in-house or letting our consultants do it for us since they're more experienced in it.
So like Wayne said, we're about 20% through the rewrite. They've kind of gone over and found the trouble areas in our zoning ordinance. So one of the first things that we did, as Wayne said, was the steering committee. Kind of gives us an idea of what, stakeholders want to see within the city. So what I would like to do is either a town hall or an open house. What I'm trying to do is avoid, bringing this to commission next year when we're done with the rewrite and getting all the feedback from the public then. I'd rather have something where the public could come in, give us feedback early on or after rewrite, and we could do any changes that they'd like to see for that. So we were originally looking at $150,000 for the rewrite, but we came back and accepted at $62,900. So we do have about $87,000 left over that we did not spend. The town hall would be $4,500. It's less interactive. People are basically come in, come to the mic and state any issues that they might want to see changed or any things that they want to see happen to the ordinance. Open house, it's more interactive. They'll bring in maps. People can have little stickies that they could go around and stick on certain pictures that they like better, like the look of sidewalks, the look of buildings and stuff like that. So for myself, I think that would probably be the best bang for our buck, and that would be $7,500. So just wanted to bring it to you all and see what your thoughts are on that before bringing it to the commission.
I don't know if I have an opinion on it.
Okay.
Do you think we'd have enough people show up?
That's hard to say. We had about 5 or 6 people from the public show up for the steering committee, but it was an open mic, open house for people to come and discuss stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if that was maybe the small turnout, because the Facebook post did say, it's up to the public, but it's not open mic. So
Open mic would make a difference, I think.
Is this something that you could, I'm sorry, is this something you could facilitate without us going through them? Do
yeah,
it?
that's something I could do by myself. It wouldn't be as nice of a thing as they could probably do, just because it's just me by myself. But yeah, it's definitely something I could do at the Commons or something.
I just hate to spend a bunch of money if we don't have a bunch of people show up to participate in it.
I mean,
How about this to piggyback on your idea? Why don't we have one? And if it's 10 people, it's 10 people, right? And we've let Jason host it. If it's 110 people, we could always have them come back if we get overwhelmed
To have a second.
and have a second and do further data processing. And then we kind of get a feel for who's going to show up and that sort of thing and kind of right size the expenditure.
Yeah, I'm open to anything. Either way, I just want people to be able to come in and give us their ideas or discuss the ordinance before we take it to commission and have the, week or two for them to come talk.
I think that is a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that idea because, we're giving them plenty enough time.
Yeah.
And to get us some feedback and so forth. And I think that the initial cost, even though it's 7,800, whatever you said, I think it's feasible.
It's not outrageous at all, but it would be best to not spend $7,800 if we can avoid it, or the expenditure, avoid it's the wrong way. If the expenditure is not warranted due to public coming and actually utilizing it,
Participating, yeah.
I'd hate to spend $780 per citizen that speaks. That
Yeah.
To me, it's not a hot topic like we've had before on like Edgemond Road and Lee Highway with the traffic light and stuff like that, where we filled the entire room. But I think it'd be good if you hosted it and,
Yeah, I do want to push it hard, because when we have our contentious meetings, it's mostly due to the zoning ordinance. So if there's stuff that people want to change or see changed, this is the time to do it, so.
I think we also should put it on the city website,
Absolutely.
just so we can collect feedback as well.
Yeah.
Maybe,
And something else that I would recommend is reaching out to the developers and people that we know are probably going to build in the city in the next couple of years. Because, it's going to impact them. They want to have a voice, or if they want something to complain about, they need to be able to say, hey, if you want something brought to our attention, come to this meeting, or else it's just you complaining about it while you're trying to build your subdivision. You had your opportunity to come out and voice opinions. This is the time to do it.
I think that's good.
And contractors are very busy. If you don't talk to them directly, they're not going to show up.
So reading the room, we'll plan to do one in-house based on the public interaction. We'll then decide if a second meeting's warranted, if a lot of people show up. But again, if it's the same, if it's 10-ish people, they'll have every opportunity to fully express themselves at the in-house one.
I didn't see an advertisement for this to tell you about the meeting until the day before. So how was this last meeting advertised?
It went out on social media, I don't know,
About a week and a half.
about a week and a half in advance, and it should have been on the website. I'd have to double check though.
Yeah. It was on the website, and then we did post the live stream link on Facebook as it was happening as well.
I just saw it on Facebook the day before.
Can we not use the tower for certain things too? that
We
you
can.
Posted like for.
It may have been up there, it may not. I'd have to confer with Christy.
It wasn't on the tower. I mean, not that I know of.
Okay. Then we'll make sure that this one is.
Yeah, because a lot of people will read that going through.
Mm.
They'll turn their necks, trying to read it.
Mhm.
And I think that's for especially because you do have those few people that are not computer savvy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And moving forward, we did talk during that meeting that we would reach out to Southern Adventist, because they do have a newspaper. They'll start pushing stuff through their newspaper as well.
Any and everything, even use their radio station or whatever to put it out. And that way we've done everything we possibly can to reach out to everybody. And I know lots of times it will not be citizens that show up more than it will be those that are outside the committee, but still, at least it's getting out there.
Have you had much feedback from the little survey that was connected with that?
We haven't had a survey yet. Well, we did open a survey last week. I'm sorry that was through the company that's doing our rewrite. So I haven't had any feedback from them yet.
Because there was a little survey
Yeah, on Facebook.
on the Facebook.
Yeah, so they'd probably give us feedback over the next month or two.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do that. Come on. Last item on the agenda tonight is the separation of the city engineer, city manager positions, and then search for a new city manager that Commissioner Sadler brought up at the last commission meeting. As we get into this, there's a couple of things I'd kind of like to just say and then open the floor up to the commission, since this is really y'all's purview to make a decision on what route you want to go. Essentially, I was promoted interim back in March of 21, which is 2.5 years and a month ago. Became permanent back in May of 21, so that's 2.5 years minus a month ago. I would like to say, if you look at the key management staff in roughly the last 3 years, Jason's new, Chief Sapp being chief is new, Ryan's new, Christina's roughly a little over 3 years in her position, and then so Andrew, Eric, and Michelle are the longest serving of the key management team. And so those departments have all reorged and changed over that time. In that time, we've made some great efforts to open up transparency, whether it be through social media, through the PIO program, through our website, the sheer volume of items that we bring to the commission. We default and bring it to the commission for conversation approach. Commissioner Sadler's idea for the expanded agendas and putting all that information and incorporating that in the minutes, et cetera. The emails you get on Fridays from me, one of the first things I did was move HR to the back so that they could have some privacy when speaking to employees over employee concerns without having to come past the administrative team. We're emailing payroll stubs. We were finally able to secure the library building. We just finished up basically this week, maybe today, on the PRO building. We moved the copy room so we could have an assistant chief's office. We haven't had findings in 2 years for our budget. I've tried to maintain an open door policy. I'm here, my door's open unless I'm on a Zoom call for employees to come by. A lot of folks do utilize that. We've worked pretty hard to work on work-life balances, whether that was maintaining the 312 schedule, the 410 schedule, the telework Fridays, et cetera. You can ask the key management team. I'm pretty firm on don't answer emails outside of work hours if they're not an emergency. Sometimes that's not always as appreciated, but trying to maintain those work-life balances. We've had a decrease in liability and workers' comp claims by 50% in the last 3 years. We've had 2 big employee manual revisions. We've made some big strides trying to bring our workforce pay up to market. We're still not completely there, but we are absolutely working towards it through the help of the commission and realizing. And we did that during times of significant inflation and wage pressure. I mean, maybe early 80s was the last time we saw inflation and wage pressure of what we did last year. We have had a decrease in employee medical and supplemental insurance costs for the past 2 years due to some negotiations, employee education, and aligning the plan offerings with employee needs, which we did by adding 2 new medical insurance plans, the high deductible and the all-inclusive that will roll out later this year. We've added the safety position that we talked about. We've restarted the K-9 position. We have the staff engineer to backfit all of that. The auto tech, labor and landscaper positions. We've made changes in IT, trying to prove it. Again, there are still some opportunities for improvement there, but we did roll to 360. We do need to move to a hosted server system, and Tom and I are still working and pushing back to find the right solution and pricing strategy to optimize what we need to do. We've updated the job descriptions for all staff. Again, we talked about the retention incentive plan. We've expanded our recruiting efforts online and while simultaneously cutting the cost of recruiting. And we continue to work with the coalition on all kinds of legislative efforts. The big win this last year was the de-annexation bill. And the bill was still passed, but it was passed with a significant amount of language that we had suggested, we being mainly Collegedale to Senator Watson on to decrease some of the donut holes and unforeseen consequences of the legislation. It ended up being much, much better than what was initially proposed. So then moving on to the airport, Ryan's done just amazing work in the last year as we switched over. The first thing we did out of the airport 3 years ago is we actually started funding deferred maintenance and maintenance projects and that sort of thing. And then in the last year, since we've had Ryan take over, we've removed, I think, all derelict aircraft at this point that is not actively being flown. That was a multi-year effort, which has increased fuel sales. And I'm sure everyone has spoken to the increase in appearance out there of not seeing broken down and mossy airplanes sitting around. We installed the AWAS system. We upgraded the windsock lighting to LED. We completed the pavement reseal and striping. We had solar LED runway edge lighting for 16. We're still chugging away on that like we do every year. We began the new airport layout plan, which was, I mean, absolutely spectacular. TDOT would undertake that project. It was a huge expense diverted off of us. And really, it's the key for us moving forward out there is that updated airport layout plan. That's the crux for instrument approach, which in my email last Friday, I was talking about meeting with HestJet. They can't come out there without instrument approach. We're on that path, which is a big change from years past. The underground storage tank removal project should start this week. They were planned to start last week. That was a big safety issue that's been known that we're continuing to work on. The obstruction clearing project's out to bid and anticipated to start late this winter. And we received the $1.3 million grant from TDOT, which I mean, we'd have to go back a ways to come up with a grant of that magnitude being awarded to the airport. As far as facilities maintenance, we really started trying to bite away at some of our deferred maintenance. We repainted City Hall. We installed the building automation system, which helped a lot in driving down some of our utility costs by optimizing air conditioning and that sort of thing. Building and codes transitioned away from Intergov permits and code enhancement inspection software to iWork. iWork includes an online portal for citizens and contractors where permits can be applied for. They can check on the status. This is real similar to what Chattanooga does, and it was a big step forward for us technologically. The east-west and courtroom lights have been converted to LEDs. The radio tower roof has been replaced. The city hall and library parking lots and flagpoles have been painted. I think you would have seen them last week or the week before. They look a lot better. Didn't realize how bad they looked until we got it done. The Public Works admin buildings converted over to LED light fixtures will be happening this year, and the remainder of City Hall converting over to LEDs taking place this year as well. Parks and Rec, since Christina's taken over in just a hair over 3 years, I don't have your exact months, but it's a hair over 3 years. Christina's earned her CPRP, which is Certified Parks and Recreation Professional, and she was also elected as the president of the Tennessee Recreation and Parks Association. We moved to Rec Desk software was purchased, and that reduces paper waste and staff time on all the rentals, whether it be through City Hall or our pavilions, and now the big pavilion at Little Debbie Park. We got the Little Debbie Park opened. I mean, when I was initially hired, we were in we call it a quagmire of community input and getting that through. There's still a few punch list items on that park, but we're working through those diligently. Expect it to resolve pretty soon. We continue to push on our tree plantings and community cleanups. We created the Galentine's Disco, the Tea with B, May the 4th, Tunes on the Tracks, Fishing 101, Fairy Tale Fall Ball, Wizard School, and Christmas in College Dale. Our reoccurring programs occur weekly and promote socialization and community involvement. As a reminder, and that was coming out of COVID. We have doubled our number of programs since 2021 to 300. And the program participants have more than doubled to around 5,000 a year. And so for a community of 12,300 people to have 5,000 people, even if they're not citizens, participating in our programs is pretty significant. We reorged planning. We're in the middle of a zoning rewrite that is years overdue, simply because of the major change in the zoning landscape coming out of the crash of 2008 and the shift from big box, the death of big box retail, and that a lot of our commercial zoning was written for. And we're in the middle of that. We're in the middle of the Four Corners plan with College of Tomorrow Foundation, which is demonstrating a lot of really good data on how our citizens interact in the community, where they work, where they live, et cetera. And we're still pushing on that. And we have the largest single-family residential project that has happened in the city is going to start here in probably 5 or 6 months. And so that y'all are aware, I'm actively in conversations with other developers as late as Wednesday of last week, and I have another meeting scheduled Friday of this week for projects along those lines as well. So we've also, Chief Sapp was appointed interim in February of 21, right? So, and then, so in his less than 3 years, we've completely reviewed and implemented all new policies, and we've enrolled in the Tennessee Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. We created the Chiefs Roundtable. We've implemented the Quartermaster software to provide better accountability for department equipment. Prior to that, it was just, we have equipment. And so now we've got this Quartermaster software that we're tracking everything as it's issued to officers and getting it back and that sort of thing. We've increased our community outreach to the National Night Out, National Faith in Blue weekend, the Cocoa with the Popo, the daily reports, weekly reports, the quarterly summaries, and annual summaries of all activities in the community. That goes hand in hand with our increased social media presence across all the platforms. We've increased transparency through our media relations, our social media, department website, and all of the reports we talked about before. We revitalized the department's chaplain program. We have restored DARE program in the local schools. We have one DARE officer now with the intention of training another. We partnered with Collegeville Academy for an SRO, which in this region at a private school, I believe we're the only one that only local agency I'm aware of that has done so, which was absolutely the right decision for our community and was a great partnership opportunity. We've repurposed a couple of vehicles for disaster response. We purchased new portable radios. We implemented mobile CAD. We have our 15 new vehicles so far. We purchased AEDs to be put in all the patrol vehicles. We've updated body-worn in-car cameras to the consolidated Axon system. We have new tasers, new pistols. We added the LPR cameras. We completed an update to the CID interview room in 2024, and we have sold a ton of surplus property, and that's not just in PD. That a lot of it is PD, but a lot of it's also Public Works and just generally across the city. Initially, when I was hired, there were thoughts that we needed to expand City Hall just because we were out of space. And in those conversations, long-term PD will need some more room, but it's not because we're out of space. We've cleared up the storage and gotten rid of all of that. In that same time, Public Works has added 3 new positions, and we brought the admin clerk on full-time, I want to say 3.5 years ago. I think it was 3.5. It was just before I started. And that has helped great. And then I asked that she be cross-trained with Christy and with Brittany so that Brittany was able to actually take vacations and vice versa. That's been incredibly helpful. We've stuck with the 4-day-a-week work week. And for the folks that work in that department, they are ecstatic with it. It's amazing when they go on have hunting season. Additionally, it saves them on fuel and equipment wear and tear and the homework life balance. We received a $68,000 CMAQ grant for the truck. We're converting a lot of our older trucks into more useful vehicles and work trucks. We're selling older equipment and vehicles to have better, safe working equipment. That was part of our mowers. That would be a good example, that we're now buying them, running them for 3 years, and then surplusing them at essentially a few $100s per year, less than about, I think it's $1,000 over 3 years per mower that it actually costs the city to keep us within 3 years of a brand new mower, just because of buying them on state bid and then selling them through our auction friends. We're maintaining our sanitation fleet in good health and shape to keep it. It's a backup truck and trucks ordered. We've installed cameras on all the garbage trucks and bulk truck to be more efficient and improve citizen interactions. The garage is equipping the CPD cars with lights and cameras. So that was a big change. Instead of outsourcing the police car upfits, we started doing it in-house. The quality of work is spectacular with our in-house guys. Previously, the complaint was they had to figure out how the work was done to then fix it. Now they did the work, and it's done really well. Sewer has completed its largest project to date with the force main replacement. We had a $1.2 million gravity sewer project. We've cleaned and CCTV 30% of our system and lined 50% of our manholes, and we're on track to have the only fully lined manhole system in the region from the contract that y'all approved previously. Chris has taken GIS mapping and updates the Hamilton County GIS and zoning maps and sends those in, and also uses them for the sewer projects. And then we have a $1.4 million sewer grant to rebuild our sewer station. So between just the airport and Public Works, that's $2.77 million worth of grants in 3 years, which is pretty significant. I say all that to just say it's a lot of work in under 3 years, and that is simply because of the team we have here of dedicated folks that they get the job done for the citizens day in and day out. I would like to think that I've stayed out of the way and let them do the good work. I will say I was a little surprised last week when this conversation came up. I wasn't aware that it would be, but it is. And I just wanted to preface y'all's conversation with that's what we've done in 2.5 years.
Thank you for listing all of that. Sincerely, like, that's a lot of stuff going on every day in Collegeville. Thank you to all of you. Really do appreciate that. We are making leap and bounds where we were a few years ago. I asked for the discussion because I feel like the commission unintentionally put a city employee in an impossible situation. I asked because I feel that we are starting to see some strain and wear from this, and that's why it's I feel like it's time to redirect a little bit. I went back and I found the workshop agenda from 2019, where it was originally presented to the commission to hire a staff engineer, which would enable the city to reduce the amount of money spent on designing future projects to bring it all in-house, and how important it was to hire the right person. As you all know, we hired a staff engineer, but we've been told he doesn't do design. And then there's been instances where you don't have time to do design. So if both of you can't do design, we're not realizing those savings. We're ended up spending more. So that's where I'm coming from, asking for this conversation.
Ever since I've been on the commission, since 2009, I have one more year to go, and then you're going to be free of me.
I'm going to use a different verbiage.
You what?
I'm going to use a different verbiage. I'm going to miss you.
Oh, you don't need an old lady on here anymore. Ever since I've been on the commission, we've always hired additional work from outside engineers. Our past engineer was very good at everything he did, and he accomplished a lot. But there's always something that would come up that he was not able to do, either didn't have the time to do, or it was beyond his capability. So to me, it's not unusual for this city to go outside of our employees to get expertise in certain areas, whether it's engineering, whether it's any one of the areas that we're responsible for. I have to admit that when we hired you and you wanted to keep your engineering, I questioned whether that would be, in my own mind, I questioned that whether that would be too much for one person to do. To me, you have shown me that you're capable of doing both areas. And even if you had a different engineer, we would most likely have had to go outside and hire or contract with someone to do those additional issues that we're dealing with. So I guess I missed last week because I was out of town, but I made every attempt to watch it on the computer while it was actively being held. And I guess I had a hard time understanding what the issue really was. I think that every time any of us have asked for something to be sent to us, and you communicate right away, I think we have better communications with the commission since you have been in this role than we had before, because I think before we were more expected to come in and talk with the past city commissioner versus having a weekly type of communication that you give us. And I think those additional things that you're doing has certainly improved in my mind the relationship between the commission and the city manager. And as I understand our charter, that is the relationship that this commission has, is with the city manager, not trying to micromanage everything that's being done in all the other departments. I mean, that's what we hired you for. So I'm satisfied with what you're doing and how you're handling it. And I think that you've accomplished a lot. And I just want to say, I'm pleased with what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think the hallmark of any good leader is not only the team they put together, but how the team feels about the leader. and I've talked to every single one of you at different times, the input that you all have given me of your city manager is that you're very happy with his performance, with the way that he is running the city, with the way that he treats you. And I have not heard anything negative from any of you in that regard. And from my perspective, I'm very happy also with the job that you're doing. And I see no reason for change.
Thank you.
My next.
Apparently.
Okay. Okay. I think I kind of viewed some of my feelings in the meeting the last time. That still stands. I will, and I was asked to interject a little bit from Michelle. She let me know that she's very well pleased. She made a point of calling me, and she knew she was going to be out because she had to have surgery, that everyone was perfectly happy. Because for the first time, they felt like they were actually being respected by the city manager and being allowed to do what their expertise is. And that's what you do. You delegate. A good leader delegates. They're an example. They're there. But it's like being a doctor. I go to a regular doctor for my general checkups, and then when he says, hey, you need to go have surgery, you got to go over here. Okay, so I go as a specialist. And to me, you are the leader of the group. Okay, I'm very well pleased. I've observed for many years, even before I was on city commission. I don't think there's a problem with you being both. I do think and respect the fact that I know that you have the wisdom that if you see that it's an issue, that you will take care of that. If it's whether to hire another body to help with certain areas, if we continue. I don't know of any place that does not outsource certain jobs. So I'm very, very well pleased with how the city's been going. You have, with your leadership and with the team here, y'all have accomplished what we wanted to begin with. To set up where there was a good communication, we speak. We may not agree all the time, but we agree to, what's the word I'm looking for? We may disagree, but we agree to go ahead and do what's best for the city, to work as a team. You know, it's a partnership, it's a marriage. You're going to buck heads with that spouse, but you're still committed to what the finer picture is. And, you know, more times than not, I lean towards you because you're in that expert field of something that I don't know about. There's a few times that I thought no, but overall, I have no issues but praise.
Thank you.
Okay. And and lots of times people that worry about if they're doing it right or something, and I don't show any disrespect whatsoever, is because of people that maybe they don't understand, or maybe they're not able to handle 2 jobs at one time and do it expertly. Okay. I know that I can do certain things, but then I have to know that if I need to get somebody else. You know, sometimes we voice opinions based upon what we ourselves can do and or not can do. So I think that we have a good thing going here overall. I think we need to be able to voice our opinions and you can speak and so clear the air and move forward. Okay. So you have until you don't, you have my 100% backing.
Thank you.
So
All of you do.
I'll just add on. I think you've got a great key manager team. I didn't
Respect,
speak
thank
to,
you.
I didn't speak to them personally, but over the time I spoke to quite a few of Public Works and police officers throughout the last 6 months when I see them on the street or picking up garbage, and they're very happy with their management and then your management. So I do appreciate that. I think that reminds me of years ago when we hired Ted Rogers and Fred Fuller and Jim Ashlock. I brought Ted's resume in. I said, I think we should interview Ted as well. And The one thing that they said, oh, he's just a paramedic, which kind of saw a little red come into my eyes, but I knew there was more than just a paramedic in Ted Rogers. And a few years later, they both came up to me and said, wow, I can't believe he's not just a paramedic, basically. And I think you're more than an engineer. I think that you are a great communicator, because for years I've asked Ted to put these letters together, kind of a summary, what's going on in the city. I really don't want to know every single thing, that happens in the city. It's not my job to know it. Some of the big things like, new businesses coming in, I like to, be up on that versus hearing it through the grapevine. And I think overall we do a pretty good job of that. And I know that you can't speak to some of it sometimes because we're still in deals, negotiations, and the key stakeholders that don't say a word, until we get something accomplished. And I do appreciate that. But I do believe the key stakeholders are very impressed with you and they like working with you. So I think that's the added point from my respect for you and what you've done for us. Now, as far as, I know that Commissioner Sadler asked for a lot of information, which is her right to. And I think we need to do a better job kind of, filtering and make sure we can get that to her effectively as requested. And I don't really care why she wants it, but I think that we really need to make sure it happens because it is just part of the city and what we expect of you, and it's open records. So that being said, I support you. I support what you're doing, both engineering and the city management. I've always heard city managers' jobs are not designed for engineers. Well, you've got a little different aspect of an engineering perspective, and I think we talked about that during the interview process. I think that you've done a really good job in communicating where a lot of the engineers are, let me sit at my desk, let me do my work, let me not get outside this box. I think you do that. So I give you A+ on that. So
Thank you.
I'd like to see us do a little bit more. I mean, I do appreciate getting some of the emails that Tanya sends to you, and then it starts me thinking a little bit more on certain things. And at first I didn't want to be on those, but I don't mind being on anymore because it kind of helps me grow and what the city's doing. But you've got my vote right now. I don't think we should take it away because I know Joe Farrow, when he was here, he did the same thing many times over the years that he was here. So you got my support.
I'll close by saying that any opportunities for improvement you see, just tell me. If they're actionable, I will absolutely do it. So just let me know. If that's it, then we will move on to going around with everyone. Jason?
Nothing to add here.
Chief?
Nothing tonight.
Andrew? Ryan?
So we have had some variable scheduling with the start of the underground storage tank. I've kind of wanted to pause disseminating a start date because it does seem to change so sporadically. Our on-call engineers at Garver have also expressed their disdain with the way it's kind of been off to a rough start. But from what he told me on yesterday evening, that they're going to be here tomorrow now. So hopefully that will hold, but it has been certainly not a good start to the project, but hopefully we'll get onto a better track here shortly.
What is the timeline on completing that? Any idea?
It's a 30-day contract, so as soon as they begin is when the contract is supposed to start.
I mean, are you anticipating a full 30 days?
It'll really just depend on weather, any kind of
Sure.
soil samples that they'll have to send out, any kind of additional testing that'll have to be required, stuff like that. If they find cracks in the tank that obviously led to contamination, that could prolong it. Hopefully, his goal was to get it done by Thanksgiving, so that's what I've been hoping as well, but it seems to be highly variable, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Christina?
So of course, I already told you guys about Christmas in Collegedale. I will mention, outsiders are not allowed to come, but the library has their escape room tonight and tomorrow, which Parks and Recreation helps every year. So tonight from 6 to 8, I'll be running over there here shortly. And tomorrow from 5 to 7 it's a really awesome program that the library puts on every year. So if you get a chance to stop by, check it out. We'd love to see you guys there. Reminder about our Scarecrow contest. We still have another week or so for people to put their scarecrows up. So you've probably seen the funny looking people on the side of Appleton Pike. We actually just got another one went up today. And then we'll be having a voting on the winner for that, as well as the Halloween pet contest going on. And then two other things, just want to update you. Some of you wrote letters for support for the Greater Chattanooga Realtors grant process. And we were supposed to find out November 1st on if we got it or not. We found out early and we were not chosen. And that took me into another conversation with somebody with TDEC, who our regional director for for our areas, Mr. Tom Lamb, who used to be Hamilton County Parks and Recreation Director, is now over that. So the conversation I had with him was, why didn't you get it? And I told him that it was not explained to me. And he said, well, we're going to find out why. So we sat down. We haven't spoken to the realtor folks just yet, but we sat down and discussed some different things. And one of the main things that we decided is probably a big factor for us is the fact that we do not have a master plan for Parks and Recreation. So that is one of the next big projects that I'll be taking on with Tom Lamb, is trying to get a master plan, and that'll open up some more possibilities with getting some more money to make some upgrades. So that is all I have.
So a couple things for us. Obviously, you've seen our ADA parking that we're doing at the McKee. I'd say that's a win for us. It's something that got missed. I think PNC's number they sent out was, in the 40 grand range that they were thinking about splitting with us, and we're able to do it in-house for $7,800.
Wow.
So,
Good.
and we have 100% control, making sure it's fixed right, how we want it, how we're going to keep it going forward. So it's a big win for us. Starting here in the next 2 weeks, we're going to start a sewer line relay. We've got a line that when we cleaned it, we knew there were some issues with it. We wanted to TV it, clean it, figure out what's going on. Found the issues. It's what we thought it was, some sag, some cracking. We had originally done an estimate on it for construction, to pay someone to come in and do it. We were in the probably $120,000 to $150,000 range. We're going to be doing it in-house by renting equipment, getting the materials, and we're probably going to save at least $100,000 doing it in-house. So
That's fantastic.
it's the first time we've ever done a project like that in-house. So the location, there's going to be little to zero impact on it. So we're basically doing it as a trial run to potentially, if it goes well, look at other areas doing bigger projects like that in-house. Also, we started the process of painting the tank in the Veterans Park. There's going to be a big event for Veterans Day in the park. They're going to be having an unveiling of the new paint scheme. The painting is not costing us anything. It's all being donated. The gentleman doing the painting actually operated that tank, the exact same model, when he was in service. And he's an awesome guy. He will talk your head off. So if you want to have a good 30, 45-minute conversation, swing down there while he's working. I believe we got the safety fencing up today for it, so that it's kind of keeping people off of it while it's working. Also, so next commission meeting, we're going to be bringing the street scan. I just mentioned to Wayne, we're going to look at possibly bringing an item and talk to Sam about maybe having an emergency meeting on the 30th. So TDOT and Wright Brothers have been kicking the can, telling us the next time we come out and pave, we're going to do Tucker Road. The next time we come out and pave, we're going to do Tucker Road. It hasn't happened. We can't open that road up until it's paved. I spoke to the railroad. They said 100%. If we choose to have someone come in and pave it, they'll pay for it. They don't care if it's Wright Brothers. They don't care who it is. So I met with a paving contractor today. He's going to get me some pricing here in the next couple of days to know what it would cost for us to have them come in and pave it. So if it all works out, we'll talk to Sam. Would love to have an emergency meeting on October 30th or whenever it needs to be to get that approved so we can get that open. The concrete's done, sidewalk's done. It's just, we got to get the road open so we can have the parking lot usable, the playground usable, the soccer fields usable. So that's something would like to bring to y'all.
Now, is that one of the reimbursable items from the railroad?
Correct.
Okay.
It's, 100% reimbursable. They'll pay us back.
So once we submit everything, that will be part of it as well.
Yes. And we'll follow up as soon as we finish up the conversations with Sam and get this pricing to make sure that we're not afoul of any procurement.
Yep. And also big win on Edgemond Road. You know, we got done a week ahead of schedule, under budget. We're getting more paving done than was originally planned for, I think, about $3,000 more dollars than what the contractor had in for his paving. And everything's still with all that, even tracking under budget. So it's been a big win for the city.
And that was a design Chris did in-house.
Yeah.
And that's actually his Gabby and basket approach is why we were able to get done so much quicker.
Right. Yep. So, and that's the in-house design stuff, like what you had brought up, that there's a big difference between, like, Chris does a lot of little design stuff for us. The biggest thing is full total packages with permitting and everything. And like, if we were to bring in a engineer that all they did was big design projects, like for instance, the parking lot was what, $28,000?
Mhm.
I'm guessing he's going to have 120 hours in it. Ish.
Probably 80.
80. I was being generous.
Yeah.
So he has 80 hours in it.
If he's appropriately billable, it'll be 80.
Right. So you call it 80 hours. So we work 40 hours a week. That's 2 weeks. That project's going to cost how much to construct?
1.5.
Right. So if, call it a month's worth of time, he's able to design $1.5 million worth of projects. If we brought someone in full-time to do that, within 6 months, we would no longer have any cash reserves. A full-time position in that can design enough stuff that we would never be able to fund it. So if we hire out for the 1 or 2 projects a year we need, it's a lot more efficient use of money. Whereas what I would see is if we brought someone in to help Chris with GIS mapping, with surveying, stuff like that, get a lot more bang for your buck. Just finding people to be able to do it's the hard part.
Commissioner Sadler?
Can we get an update on the email situation for commissioners? I think there's still people saying they're getting bounce backs.
So thank you for bringing that up because it did slip my mind. I reached out to VC3. They, for you, Commissioner Baker, they've looked at the server and say your email is working. Your city email is working. Okay. And they have screenshots of showing it going through the server. What they believe the problem is on the commissioners and the all employees, those emails, is that they're going to city and like you use your personal email address. And so the question is, if you want to use your personal email address, we can have your city email address forwarded over. It just auto forwards every time. And then that problem goes away if that's truly the problem. So if y'all will just let me know.
Mine was doing that originally. It was just being sent to me.
Right. And it probably stopped when we migrated.
Yeah. And that would be perfectly fine because anything from Dalton that needs to get to me, it all comes to me on my phone. I have an internet.
Right. So if y'all would just shoot me emails on which email address you would like to use. And then if there's a problem after that, let me know and I'll go further. But that's what they told me last week when I called Justin.
So I would say
It's always worked for me. I mean, I've not had a problem. The only thing that when they sent out a test email the other day, I responded, I got it.
Mhm.
But when I get a copy of it when I do that, but it was all garbage in the response. I mean, it was like programming language. And I sent it back and say, this is not right. I never heard anything else.
I have no idea. If it's still working, I'll let it live. If it's not, just let me know and
I wasn't sure
escalate
if they
again.
were still testing it or what, but
I'm sure they were testing it after I escalated the ticket. So yeah, if y'all would just shoot me an email, let me know how you want your email to be managed. I'll reach out to our client care rep and get it set up.
I keep mine separate.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Commissioner Lamb?
I didn't get a test email, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, there you go.
Mine
Is
must
your-
have been working okay. huh?
It is, are you
I feel
using your,
left out.
are you using your college email or your personal email?
I don't know.
Do you want
It
it
just
forwarded
comes
to your,
through on my phone.
do you want it forwarded over to your personal email? I'm not going to say what it is on the record, but your other one?
I don't care.
Okay.
Just leave it the way it is, I guess.
Okay.
It's not. Fix it.
Now, and then I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
but- Oh, I know what it was.
If you didn't get the test, though, it's not working. You should have got the test.
Well, I didn't get a test.
I'll shoot you an email in the morning. If I don't get a response, I'll
Okay,
escalate it.
okay. I saw Eric's award over there, and I realized that none of you have probably seen the award that I was given at the TML conference. So I'll try to bring it our next commission meeting so that everybody can see it.
Well, that'd be great. Commissioner Baker?
Well, I think it's pretty much, I was concerned about the parking with the handicap and everything, and that's being taken care of. I do want y'all to know that I do appreciate y'all. I do appreciate Commissioner Sadler too. I know what it is to be first. When we first came on, I asked a lot of questions. And like I've said before, everybody has that right. Don't have to agree with them, but I respect the fact that they have the right to that. And that's the only way they learn is by asking questions. I just wish y'all the best. Okay, look forward to working with you. And if you don't have any questions for me, that's fine. If you do, you know where I'm at.
Thank you.
Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Couple things. I saw with my own two eyes, believe it or not, the budget certificate. Collegedale was not on the annual listing that we
Correct.
normally own.
And
Why
we're,
is that? Because we turned that in, the budget, the 15 days prior to,
correct. The most honest answer is I don't know. We had a pretty hearty conversation at the coalition meeting because Saudi didn't get theirs either. And they're the same. Collegedale and Saudi Daisy in Hamilton County are usually old reliable on getting that. And neither of us did. And so we're researching as to why. And once we have an answer as to why, we're going to let you know. But I don't know yet.
but yeah, because I think that we did what we should have.
As far as we know, we did everything appropriately this year like we do every year.
Okay.
And we just aren't sure why. It could be a simple oversight. It could be something else. But once I get the answer, I will share that with everyone.
All right. Talent Road, let me ask you something. I had brought up about the paving lines, the center lines, where one looked darker than the other, and you said they were going to go back and do some, have they done that yet?
Yes, it's Thermode.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Thermode with high vis. They put it down the same time they did When You're Out Here, they did Talent out there, so.
I haven't been driving down it where it really catches my
Well,
eye.
Gotcha. If it's at night and your headlights are on, you'll notice.
Okay,
Give it an hour tonight would be great.
okay. I think that's all I had on my list.
Awesome. Mayor?
Christina, where are we on the Parks and Rec building?
The pro. So, yay. So they finished up the tile work in the bathroom because we had that little incident. So they finished that up today. So we've just got to get in there, do a little bit of cleaning. We got some touch up on some updated door locks that we've got to clean up the paint job on, and then we can start moving stuff in. So we're almost there.
And the public restrooms?
Officially open to the public.
Okay.
Still got to get Stephen to come in there and do a little bit tighter job as far as tightening up, but at least they're functional on the same schedule as Imagination Station over here, where people can come in. I still got to get some kind of signage where people on the back of the building, when they come around, they can see it's open. We're still in the process working with the contractor on the drinking fountain behind the building. I think there's just some manufacturing challenges. Contractors working with the manufacturer, trying to get some replacement parts or possibly a replacement fountain. So it's been a little frustrating, but it's fixing to be cold weather, so we'd have to turn off anyway, so we're not in that bad a position. But at least the functionality of the restrooms is going to be huge, I think, for the public walking the greenway, so.
As soon as we get these couple of punch list items out, we'll do another social media push and that sort of thing to let folks know.
Okay, great. And last thing I've got, Eric, where are we on McDonald Road? I know we've got the metal covers over the,
So, correct, the
Road.
same contractor that is doing Edgemond Road, we were able to negotiate them to go and do McDonald Road as well because their schedule was 2 weeks sooner than the other people I had gotten quotes from. So the current plan is to pave Page, Edgemond, and McDonald Road Thursday, Friday this week. If that doesn't hit Monday of next week, it'll be done.
okay, excellent. That's all I've got. Thank
One
you
more-
all for the job that you do.
One more thing that Debbie just reminded me of. Did you ask anybody if they could repaint where we noticed all the paint coming off of the bench?
We're going to need to do a bigger touch up across several other spots and we'll most likely do that in-house.
Is that something that we could have that company do on their dime though, since they didn't sand it or whatever they needed to do?
We can reach out to them and see. Some of the other touch up that I'm aware of is, for instance, on my door, when they moved the desk out, we scratched the door. So we'd already planned on doing that, but we'll reach out to them and see and go from there.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, if that's it, we're adjourned. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
We noticed like.
I tried to.